Blessed day, saints, welcome once again. Our reading today comes from the book of Matthew chapter 2 verse 9, which reads, When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. The Magi, or the wise men from the east, were astrologers. They practiced what is called astrolatry. This is the careful observance of stars and other heavenly bodies to decrypt or to deduce meaning that is significant in the trajectory to destiny of men. These men are used of God, using their own beliefs in stars to be led forth to where baby Jesus, the Messiah, is born in Bethlehem. When they reach Herod's palace, the star disappears. It only reappears after they have gone away from the palace of Herod. We learn two lessons here. Number one, God will use anything for his glory. He can turn stones to become sons of Abraham. You will notice that throughout history, he has shown himself forth even to people that are despised, even through people that are termed not spiritual or believing. He says in one place that he raised Pharaoh for his own glory. And you will know that it was Pharaoh's daughter who reared Moses and even named him. I took him out of the water, a name that stuck with Moses even until the time that he had gone out of Egypt. You will also know that it was Pharaoh, a heathen king, pagan king, who worshipped snakes, who promoted Joseph and who also fed Joseph's whole family during a time of famine. Now, you will also know that in the time of Nehemiah, it was King Ahasuerus who provided what was needed to rebuild the city of Jerusalem. Now, God will use anything for his glory, and it becomes imperative for us not to despise people that we might look down on and think they are less religious than we are, because God can use anything for his glory. In this particular case, he uses people that are not Israelites, that do not call upon his name, to show forth and bring presence to the Messiah. The second lesson that we learn here is that there are places that are cursed, inasmuch as God is omnipotent and omnipresent. He can reveal himself everywhere and anywhere, but there are places that he chooses not to show himself up. And the star disappears when they reach Herod's place or Herod's palace. Now, God says in Psalm 139, 7-12, his presence is everywhere. Even in hell, his presence is there. In the highest of heavens, his presence is there. But he will not save you once you choose to be in hell, even though his presence is there, is everywhere. You will also notice that Abraham was told of God to go and meet him at Moriah, where he would sacrifice his son. If God be everywhere, he could have just said, Abraham, I want you to sacrifice your son somewhere near your house so that you don't have to walk a great distance. And he decides in his infinite wisdom to meet Abraham at a covenanted place at Moriah. You will also notice that he did not do this only once. Israelites are in Egypt. At one time, Moses is told, instructed by God, to go to Pharaoh and tell him that he needs his people worship him in the desert. You would say that, but there were also temples in Egypt, and there were also places in Egypt where the Israelites could easily gather and worship him. But he says, I want them out so that they can worship me. There are places, churches, anointings that when you fall under, God decides not to show himself forth until you come out of there. There are houses, there are buildings where God doesn't show himself forth there. He wants you to come out so that he can meet you. There are so many people that are burdened, that have been born in different kinds of families, that are in covenants, that God says you should come out of there so that I can meet you. It happened in the book of Mark chapter 8 verse 26. Jesus could not heal the blind man where his kinsmen were. he goes with the blind man out of the city. And that's where he now heals him. And he tells him expressly not to go back to his town among his people because he will lose his miracle, which means there are also environments that even when you have received your miracle, you go back there, you will lose it. There are places where you will not really get the desire of your hearts unless you have uncovenanted yourself. There are even people that when you are around, you will not get what God has meant for you. There are people that when you are covenanted yourself with them, you need to unloose or to untie yourself from them so that what God has wished for you should come to pass. This happens when Jonah, a reprobate preacher, runs away from the call of God, and he runs away from what God has intended him to do. The people that took him in their boat, they lost much because Jonah was there. There are certain people, when they're around you, you will lose so much. There are so many friends that we like to keep company of, but as long as you're around them, you will lose so much of your words, you will lose your respect, you will lose your blessings, because God expressly says that people that are reprobate, that are rebellious, that are running away from his call, they are carrying a curse upon their lives, and that curse can impart upon you, inasmuch as his blessings can also impart upon you. We should expressly hear from God, and we should expressly know the company that we keep, because some company is very dangerous and makes us lose a lot of things, just like so many marriages. They are so tumultuous in so much they make us lose not only things, but they make us lose ourselves, our values. We do not know where we're coming from and where we're going anymore. I need you to understand, beloved saints, that in the occult, there is what is called star snatching. Occultists see a star upon individuals. So sometimes when you covenant yourself with people that do not believe what you believe in, that are rebellious, they are stealing from you. It is a search. There are gifts that you can't express when you're around some people. And there are also some covenants that you lose much. Your star is stolen. Your gifts are stolen. You can't practice them anymore when you're around certain people. And you will know in the natural that there are some instances where you even are ashamed to proclaim your love for Christ and to proclaim the gospel when you're around some people that you know clearly don't believe in what you believe in, and that in its own is something that God detests so much. Your star will only reappear when you go away from Herod's palace, because Herod's palace is cursed. Herod's palace deters God. Now, when they go away from Herod's palace, now they reach Bethlehem and they open their presence. I need you to understand that your joy in being in the presence of the Messiah will need you be taken away from the presence, the places, and the people that God does not like. I hope that you're blessed, and I hope that you've learned much. Until next time, bless you so much.